live. You're live. Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be playing Stellar Blade on the GTX 1650, RTX 3060 and 4060. How are you guys doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. First of all, I want to thank PlayStation Publishing for providing a code of the game 3 days ago, actually, which means that I've been playing the full game for, a couple nights ago. I've been going through the prologue and all that past the demo, because I missed the demo the day of the demo's launch, and I wanted to come here with the full game. So how's it going, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Doom the Dark Ages, playable on a 3056 gigs with Dark Shadows. I mean, it should work. The thing is, the VRAM just put everything texture related maybe to medium or the lowest. Hell yeah, ex Icario. Same here. So, again, full game. There's a demo available as well. So let me change something before I forget. You know what? Oh yeah, I'm at 120 Hertz, never mind. Just forgot to check if I have G-Sync on. Sometimes that can become a problem. Yeah, we got it. Alright. So as usual, we're going to focus in the settings first. This game is on PlayStation 5. It's not on PS4, so that's something to keep in mind. I don't use mods. At least not on launch, so don't worry. So minimum processor a 7600K, so very, very lower end. 1600X, so Ryzen 5, 6 cores, 12 threads, but very low single threaded performance. So what I'm trying to say is it should work very easily on a very basic CPU. 16 gigabytes of RAM. And thank you, Spencer Walker, for the $6.66 US donation. He says, yo, is there going to be a Steam Deck afterwards? Yes, but maybe not today. We'll see. I might do a live stream after this one if everything goes right. So, as I was saying, as a minimum, 16 gigabytes of RAM, recommended as well, so no problems there. 1066 gigs or RX 580, and recommended 2060 Super or 5700 XT, DX12, 75 gigabytes of space, and this is for the minimum settings, 1080p, low preset, 60 FPS target. So the thing with this, I think the low preset actually engages FSR3 performance, so technically it's 540p, but I have things to say about that, don't worry. And here it says hard drive supported, SSD recommended, so that's good. You don't actually require an SSD. And for the 2060 Super, they are recommending 1440p medium preset. But I like that they target 6 FPS. On Steam Deck, they did the same thing actually. So that's good to see. But it's Unreal Engine 4, so it shouldn't surprise us in the slightest. But enough speaking, let's get into it. What's good, Master Predator? How's it going? Yeah, I mean, there's a mod to improve performance with cloth physics. Interesting. But I mean, yeah, usually I use mods as a last resort on the videos, or for example to skip intro cinematics or something like that. In this case you cannot skip the cinematics, but I have a lot of saves to show you guys some stuff. Realistic chess physics. Okay, for some reason couldn't get my saves. I don't know. I uploaded them yesterday, so in any case, I launched the Steam Deck and synchronized the save again. Yeah, it's a cool game. I really like it. I played the demo and it was like, okay, on PS5 I played the demo when that came out, and I was like, okay, this will release on PC, so I'm going to wait for that, and here I am, playing the full game on PC like a year and something later. Game size, 75 gigs, I think. Let me check that for you, because 75 gigs is in the requirements, but you guys always know that can change. Let's see, Stellar Blade is 58 gigabytes actually, so no 75, it's actually 58. Will you do Mind's Eye? Actually, Mind's Eye, I said at the beginning when they showed it for the first time, red flags everywhere. And actually, I requested a review code. So if I get a review code, I'll cover it. But It's 30 FPS on PS5 and Series X at 1440p or lower, so not a good look. So one of the worst games this year, apparently. Funnily enough. I'm not surprised at all. 4 dedicated cores for chess physics. 4 cores is not enough. Add 2 more cores. Okay, hopefully alt-tabbing didn't break the game. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's compiling shaders. That's good to see. I saw someone on 2080 Ti drop into the 20s in my design. Not surprised. Okay, it definitely did forget my saves, so that sucks. But let me show you very quickly the settings. Low, medium, high, very high. So we're talking on low on the minimum requirements. We're talking about the low preset. And the low preset by itself actually is quality FSR3. So I was wrong on that one. And here you got FSR3 and DLSS if you have an RTX card. Or you can disable upscaling altogether. Personally, I think FSR3 in this game doesn't look fantastic. But when I tried using TAA, the render and scale option didn't do anything. So, yeah. Do you speak Portuguese? I don't, but I can understand some of it. And I can curse in Portuguese as well. But there is more options than the usual UE4 stuff, so it's not the stock stuff. Environmental object detail, character object detail, this is draw distance. Texture quality for environments and characters are separated. Clutter densities for the amount of objects in the ground. Environmental object visible distance, this is draw distance for smaller objects that you see in the environment. And same for the characters. So there will be more character pop in if you have this on 0. Shadows, just the resolution. Lighting includes the distance of the lighting. Volumetric fog is for the quality of the fog, which this shadow and volumetric fog have been the most demanding ones, at least for me. Animation quality, depending on the distance, it will be better or worse. In this case, on low, the closest characters will have the best animation quality. That's basically what you're doing. If you put it on high, more characters will have the full animation set at full frame rate. Particle quality speaks by itself. Ambient occlusion, low, medium, high. And then, well, motion blur amount and screen space reflections. So yeah, there's a good amount of options. I would say the ones that you should focus on are shadows, volumetric fog, and maybe screen space reflections and the clutter density. But other than that, it's been fine so far. Only shown at the front end. Yeah, I think the render scale is not implemented yet, but let's start with the medium preset. Let's just try to be generous with this card. We're going to be over the VRAM limit, so I'm going to just put the textures on the absolute lowest. So if you look behind my head, there. So yeah, that's all I'm doing. Medium settings with low textures. Low textures looks horrible, gotta say. I've been playing on Steam Deck with that, and it hasn't been great when it comes to texture quality. Oh, and before I forget, of course, resolution, target frame rate, you can do unlimited. Aspect ratio, HUD for ultra wide, so this is great to see as well. And I think I'm not missing anything. Well, borderless full screen, and windowed. Seems to be actual full screen. Yeah, I think that's about it. But let me double check that I can get my save file, because I have a save file with lots of places. Estoy muy bien en el fuegos. So let me check very quickly if I can get back my save file. I'm still looking. If my save file is not there, well, I'm sorry, I was in the middle of the screen. The VRAM usage meter is not completely accurate. Yeah, I agree. Not completely accurate at all. But in some parts, the game spikes when it comes to VRAM usage. Steam does that sometimes. Maybe restart it. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Let me restart Steam very quickly. At the same time, I'm going to open my Steam Deck because I have my save is here. So maybe I can get away with it. Uploading. Oof. Maybe it replaced my save. Hold up. First world problems. I was playing in another device, and now my other device doesn't have my save. But it's here, and it works pretty well, actually. Another night stream? Hell yeah. Yeah, I got off work, and I wanted to... Whoa, sorry about that. I wanted to check this one out, because I missed the demo. But I'm going to restart Steam, definitely. Oh, there's some Windows update waiting for me. I hate them. Did you see the Xbox show? No, actually not, but I saw what games were announced, and there were a lot of them. And that was freaking insane. It blew my mind. So yeah, at least Xbox, despite not being first in hardware, they're trying to be first when it comes to content. Tengo Shusu. Do I have Yuzu? Oh yeah, I do. I forgot about that. Let's pretend you didn't see that. Done. Yeah, the demo is a good representation so far. Give me 5 seconds. We got a day one patch. That's probably why. But again, it's working pretty well. On Steam Deck at least. On PCs, my PC not being a Steam Deck. So sorry about that. How many mods have you already installed? I haven't. I usually install mods either if a mechanic of a game is destroying my brain for some reason. I don't know, maybe... Well, in this game, for example, picking up items, you have to mash R2. And you have to... In this game, you have an option that it auto picks up stuff. That will be something I would mod in, but I don't need it. But mods are for later, for me at least. When you finish the game and you're effing around. But again, the game released 40 minutes ago. And if you have your demo save is basically... it continues the game. Good morning from Indonesia. Good morning from Uruguay. Now we can see that Nintendo can't. Oof. It's okay. Nintendo has more things to worry about. But it sucks when this happens. The thing with the saves. Almost got it. 4 seconds remaining. Was there any pre-order bonus? Well, there is DLC. Let me check. Pre-order bonus. I think the pre-order bonus was this. The Tachyon pack, I think. But then you can buy the DLC and you get the Nier Automata stuff and Goddess of Victory Nike as well. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. So yeah, there are pre-order bonuses. Like monitoring that game chat feature on Switch 2. Exactly. Yuzu 2, here we come. Yeah, at some point we're probably getting that. It will be interesting. Okay, I'll launch the game on the Steam Deck to get my save back. And if my save is lost, I'll do it all over again. I have no problem. I need more skills. Them skills. Are you from the USA? No, I'm actually from Uruguay, South America. But I think that's pretty obvious. Thanks for asking though. And apologies I'm taking so long. Almost there. Because if my saves are here, I'm safe. Oh no. It lost my saves. Okay. It nuked my saves. Interesting. Oh well. I guess I'll have to continue here. Too bad. Oh, I had good saves. Maybe I can get ones from my ROG Ally. I also played on the ROG Ally. Oops. That's probably something that happens sometimes. I'm not mad. Do you speak English in Uruguay? We learn English, but it's not our first language. So rip my saves. Okay, so when it comes to settings, Again, medium settings at native resolution with low textures. So unfortunately I cannot skip cutscenes, at least not the first ones.
Transmitting final briefing. As of now, Airborne Squad 7
But,
will exterminate the Alpha Nativas occupying District 3.
This
Their
is
objective is the
1080p
capture or dispatchment
native,
of the Elder Nativa.
medium.
Pods
Look at those
entering
textures on low, by the way.
1 minute until threshold.
So for the people that say that VRAM is not important, well, this is a 4 GB GPU. Journalist mode, yeah. The thing is, it's difficult because you have to play with one hand. That complicates the game quite a bit for me.
Activating shield.
Since I cannot skip this, I'm going to go grab my rogue ally so I can actually recover my save file. Give me 1 sec. Be right back.
Code red. Code red. All available drop pods will be ejected according to Protocol B32.
Back in action. 1650, yeah, sorry. 1650. Oof. There we go. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't play this game with one hand? So I got the Rogue Ally X.
No!
This was another one when I played this game. On SteamOS, actually. So let me disconnect this one from the internet before it uploads. It downloads. There we go. Oof. That was close.
07531. Pod landing complete.
Okay, quick time events. Here we go.
Physical shield. Opening hatch.
This game is 100% a Gunner game. Hell yeah.
Hatch. Come on. Come on!
Quick time events. You're watching me in VR? Awesome. Awesome. I should play this game in VR actually. Tacky.
Taki? Eve, are you alright? This place is dangerous.
Take my hand. Okay, I'll let this part speak by itself. Goon to war. Yeah. How does it run on LIX? On LIX I've been playing at 900p with quality upscaling, medium settings with, medium settings, 40-45 FPS.
This way to the road.
But as you can see, at native 1080p,
I'll take care
we
of
still
this
have
side.
pretty good numbers. So here I'm in the 40s, but my issue with this is that the rendering scale doesn't work. So if I put it at 50% resolution with this slider... Oh, now it actually works. Okay, they fixed it. Never mind. Disregard my previous comment. Okay, they fixed this. Awesome. Wonderful. So I'll keep it at 100% just to show you guys. Awesome, awesome. So they fixed it on day one. Perfection. Yeah, I mean, the thing with low settings,
You still have your combat
at
sense.
least when it comes to texture quality, the textures look something like
The
this.
rendezvous point is at 2 o'clock. 400 meters in front of us.
This also includes the characters. So if I go into photo mode, some textures are low resolution there. But if you look at things into the distance, that is the texture quality on low, which is a shame. But what can you do? So personally, I would probably try to crank those up, but the game has a possibility to crash. So let's increase that. Let's put the characters on medium and the textures of the environment on high. Yeah, I know I'm going a bit high over here, but at the same time, this is when textures start looking good on the environment. Let's see if the game crashes. Okay, now as you can see, we got good textures. Let's keep playing the game. You did not get the purchase reward, the pre-purchase reward. Which one was it? Because you get the rewards once you get to Zion. Did the demo use this much RAM? I don't remember, because the demo is basically the same as this.
Come here. Careful with your jump.
But I mean, the game recommends 16 gigs. That's probably because I have 32 gigs, and Windows allocates the rest.
It's an unlisted Nativo.
Come on.
I'll handle this one.
By the way, is the audio correct or is it too loud? A beta skill. Do you think you could try with less than 32 gigs? I mean, with 32 gigs you'll be fine. Game audio is delayed.
Are you all right?
Okay. Let me undelay it.
My body frame. Take this.
1 sec. Okay, I rebooted the capture card.
More of them.
Hopefully that fixes it. There's a delay with the game audio. Okay. Yeah, it's probably... Yeah, my capture card, I don't know what's wrong with it. It does that sometimes.
Hey, don't go too far.
Don't go too far, I'm right next to you. What the hell? Demo or full game? Full game. I'm just trying to retrieve my save file. But it seems that I uploaded an empty save file by accident.
Rendezvous point
Let me
in
see
sight.
on the ROG Lite. Well, I cannot skip
This
stuff.
way. Watch out for Gardner's interception.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, probably some people are saying in the chat that I agree. Probably is using more than 16 gigs. I think I died. Oops. It's using more than 16 gigs because the lack of VRAM is trying to be compensated with the system RAM, which is way
Rendezvous
slower.
point this way. Watch
So,
out
yeah.
for Gardner's interception.
Let's see. Yeah, the Prologue is actually, yeah, here where it drops. The Prologue is a good place to test, in my opinion. But then there is a more CPU heavy place that comes after the first boss fight. Or the second boss fight. So you can get a better idea later, especially in the first town.
This isn't looking
Well,
good.
that
Let's
is
go.
doing its thing. I'll retrieve my save from another device.
Is that? Alpha Natiba. Let's join them.
Ha, no pun intended. Too late. Are we dead yet? No, not yet.
My God.
And no, I cannot skip this. That's why I'm looking for my save. I'll get it.
The squad's life
Nope.
signs.
All dead.
We're the
No
only
more
two
ass. Again? Ugh! Hold up. I think I know.
Eve, pull yourself together. Taki, listen to me.
Maybe
haven't
this is
completed
because
our
I'm
mission.
monitoring a device. Let's see if this fixes it. It
Now
better
it's just up to
fix
us
it.
to see this mission through.
Okay, well, let's try. Okay, hopefully now it actually works. I tried something else. And my cat wants to get in. The Last of Us.
Eve, are you ready?
I'm not ready. But what's wrecking the frame time is definitely the textures. So let me lower those textures and see if that fixes our problem. Because this is the biggest difference that you'll find. Okay. Oof. Okay, that improved a bit. It's unloading those textures now. I should actually restart the game. Oof. Show the cat? No, the cat is outside actually. Now even I have delayed audio in the game. I think it's my Bluetooth headset. Funnily enough. I love technical difficulties. Okay. It should be better now. But I should definitely restart the game. Let's be responsible. Just went to Nexus mods. I thought I opened the hub. Yeah, dude. It's kind of crazy. It's hard to get away from that when you release a game like this one. Okay. It was eating all my VRAM. That's why I was using so much RAM. So keep that in mind. You can sacrifice stability, but I wouldn't recommend to do that. Hold up. Alright, we're in. Everything on medium, but low textures on everything. We need to survive somehow. So now, low textures. Although the RAM usage is still pretty damn high. So I'm not entirely sure what's up there.
This isn't looking good.
Shadow impact.
Let's
Well,
go.
shadow quality also impacts VRAM. That's a good point. I forgot about that.
Is that
Yeah.
an Alpha Natiba?
True.
Let's join them.
Oopsie daisy. Okay, I think I found the saves. I think.
My God.
If I did, it's a good day.
No. The squad's life sites.
Okay, I think I found it.
We're the only two left.
But as you can see, the texture quality suffers significantly.
Eve, pull yourself together. Tacky,
Okay.
listen to me. We haven't
Audio
completed
delay.
our mission.
Why?
Now it's just up to us to see this mission through. Understand?
Let's see if that helps. He cuts audio for a second, then when audio is back, is it late for us? Okay.
Eve, are you ready?
Damn it. Okay. Now I should be hearing the same as you guys. I changed my device. They gave us a VRAM for 10 years. Not happening. Yeah, the thing with ray tracing is that they use it, but all willy-nilly, like if it didn't cost anything. I'm using the Sony XM4. Oh, okay, I can hear what you guys were talking about. Yeah, it's super delayed. Yeah, mind's eye, I'm going to do it probably. The thing, again, with ray tracing, I don't have an issue with it. The thing is when they put it willy-nilly, like if it didn't make any performance difference. So right now 8 GB is enough, but yeah, you're borderline. Big ball hands. What a concept.
It wasn't an alpha, but it was a strong one.
It wasn't an alpha. No,
We fought
they're
well.
talking about me.
Even better than during training.
You were all together. But then...
Yeah, I'll do 40s later.
The damage to your body frame is serious.
No, I cannot skip this.
We have to
So
find
apologies for the
supply company.
spoilers.
Wait, Eve. I hear something. Eve!
Oh, she's so dead. Them forcing it and you cannot turn it off. Yeah,
Eve,
you got him.
are you alright?
Wrong flash drive. Yeah, planar reflections, but planar reflections can be super expensive as well, and are harder to make run well, to say it in some way. They're harder to make, and they have a huge performance impact. It's actually pretty difficult. Alright.
Here, friend. It's me you want.
Okay, I have my saves. Wish me luck. it has the Nuvo, and Sony increased the price
Get out of here.
a few days before release. I'm not kidding. But definitely I need to lower those shadows, especially for VRAM reasons. When it comes to power, we're good, but the thing is that VRAM. Yeah. They increase the price. At least in my region. I'm going to quadruple check that my capture card, maybe it's, oh, I think I know what's going on. I think it's the G-Sync. Freaking Nvidia. I think it's the G-Sync doing its thing.
It's quiet.
I think.
Still, make sure to stay cautious. It's where the Alpha and AT buy is.
It's still 60 for you? Yeah, it increased like 10%, at least in my country. Yeah, and this part uses more VRAM, but it didn't lower those textures and then lower those shadows, which also uses a lot of it. So that doesn't help. That's probably why my RAM is being destroyed right now.
No.
Yeah, maybe a
don't worry.
region price
I'll be
increase.
supporting with the drone.
But despite being on medium to low, the only thing that really kills the visuals is the texture quality.
So this must be
Idle
Idle
7.
7.
Yes. This was the final battlefield of civilization. It was also known as a truly
But again,
colossal
I'm
city.
not worried about RAM, I'm worried about VRAM. So let's lower those shadows.
Something is falling from the sky. A strange sensation.
Yeah, 16 will be a
This
problem on
must
4
be
GB
Earth's rain.
GPUs. That's probably
We can admire the scenery
a good
later.
thing to keep
We
in
have
mind.
a job to do here.
Got a job to do. Let's see if lowering those shadows fixes the problem. Okay, textures are lowered. Shadows. Okay, this shouldn't... Oh, the volumetric fog. Yeah, but then all this is barely a hit to VRAM. Okay. Medium settings, low shadows, and low textures.
The terrain data's changed recently.
Yeah, still. Yeah, still the RAM usage on a 4GB GPU is pretty damn high. Is she a robot? I don't think so. This is not Nier Automata, by the way. Let's restart the game super quick, and at the same time I'm going to get my saves. And I'm probably going to disable G-Sync so you guys have the correct audio, because it's very annoying to have poor audio. So yeah, I'll have to disable G-Sync. I'd rather have screen tearing personally. Okay. And yeah, 1440p. Low textures look like clay despite having enough VRAM. Yeah, low textures, no matter how much VRAM you have, if you put textures on low, you're screwed when it comes to visuals. So, talking about save files, they're on documents. So, Stellar Blade. Okay, and here are my saves. Let's back this up just in case I don't want to start it from scratch. And in my drive, this is what I got. Okay, there's one for release. Okay. So I have two backups. just in case. Let's see if he remembers my saves. Is it G-Sync in the game alone or G-Sync with the capture card? G-Sync with the capture card. There's been quite a few bugs with G-Sync with the latest NVIDIA drivers. So that's probably related to it. Yeah, I think the audio now is correct. And it still doesn't have my save. LMAO. If I remove all of it and I do this, what happens? The one from the demo can go. Have you tried modern AMD GPUs? Not yet, actually. I want to, but it's getting pretty hard with the little support they're getting from the people playing those games. I swear they have AI writing NVIDIA drivers now. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes some effects like the water drops on screen on low settings, they look pixelated. But pixelated like they look broken. But if you have a 4GB GPU, I would say RAM is a problem. You need a lot of RAM. It looks like that. But hey, AI writing drivers, sure, why not? NVIDIA said. Calmly. I mean, if you have 4 gigabytes, you need more RAM, but then if you have enough VRAM, it shouldn't be an issue. Let me get back to the main menu super quick. Yeah, no. Maybe they put the saves somewhere else. In the meantime, I'll continue like this. So, graphics. Let's try and get something better. So now, what I would do, well, first of all, I'll lower this a little. Shadow quality, I think low is good enough for 4GB GPUs. Very low starts looking very pixelated, especially environment shadows. Lighting, medium is fine. Fog, low for performance reasons. Particles, medium. Animation quality, medium is still fine. Ambient occlusion, actually low looks decent enough, in my opinion. And the screen space reflections, there's quite a few of them, so I'll put this on low. I'm talking about this card in particular. Oh, and the clutter density, believe it or not, has a big impact. Then when it comes to anti-aliasing, DLAA, I think is the best looking if you compare it with FSR3. FSR3 destroys visual quality, so in my opinion you should avoid it. And instead put the rendering scale at 80%. So 1080p, DLAA 80%. Medium preset, low textures, low shadows. Let's do mid-low settings. And this should do it. Should. Special thoughts on should. It doesn't have XeSS. It has DLSS, FSR, and DLAA. Although I'm not sure if... Yeah, I think it applied the settings actually. And this should give you, again, quote unquote, the best possible experience on this card.
Something.
So with 4 gigs of VRAM, you cannot really do much. So if you have 16 gigabytes of RAM and 4 gigabytes of VRAM, I'd be careful. Yeah, upstate scaler should work, why not?
There's an encrypted code in the memory stick.
It's a security code. Type try entering the code.
Here we go. I'm using all the hints. Here we're probably going to drop frames.
Because of the city's unstable terrain. You'll get used to it soon.
You can switch to AMD NVENC. Well, yeah, DLSS has way more support. Same thing when it comes to the NVIDIA encoder. So I agree. It's the biggest part of the market, unfortunately. I wish there was more competition. The 5060 at that point would perform better and I have 12 GB of VRAM or something. I mean, you can look into 45 in-game, but if you're looking for 40s, you can do it just fine. And also the ponytail, I'm going to put it short, because it's distracting. That's on the gameplay tab. You can also have no ponytail, if you're interested. There we go. We'll test 50-50 if it comes out, I don't know yet. I'm thinking about the 5060 despite the VRAM shenanigans. But I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But still. Documents. Okay. And no, I cannot skip this.
What's wrong?
The demo used about 14 GB for you on a 4 GB card. Then it's maybe something on my PC then.
It's nothing.
At least the game doesn't compromise on the physics.
From here on,
Nice.
you have to stay alert, Eve.
By the way, now that I disabled G-Sync, is the audio fine?
Are you sure you don't want to do any upgrades?
Fine, I'll do the upgrades. Yeah, physics is all that matters. Definitely. Okay, that's it. I think so. There is fine. Awesome. That has been a difficulty. Perfect dodge. No thanks. So, when I play the game, this part here drops frames when I cross this bridge because something will fall out. Let's see if it happens again.
Eve, be careful. You see the rapids below. If you fall, it's over.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's just a single big drop there. No big deal. The full game just uses more RAM. I mean, I don't see a reason why it would use more RAM. Because the map size on this part, that is also in the beta, is the same. The only thing that changes is that now we get more levels. Oops. Oof. A nanosecond late. There we go. Maybe the Nuvo? No, I don't think so, because in the demo there was also the Nuvo. But again, my main issue with 4 GB of VRAM in this game is the texture quality. I think it's pretty obvious, right? But there's not much that you can do, either that or just sacrifice the performance significantly. So I would say maybe try medium environment textures, but again, I cannot say, oh, it will be fine on a 4 GB card with medium textures. It works, but it can drop pretty hard. Okay, 64 GB of RAM. Ah, you're fine. You'll be okay,
Are
bro.
other cities in a similar state?
By comparison, this city is looking pretty good. After the colony... Huh? Wait, there's a fusion. Ah, surprise. At least the...
Fusion cell?
But even on the characters,
It's a
it's pretty
high-energy
noticeable.
compression battery. Thanks to that, Earth's night isn't dark yet.
Oh, it's the previous generation.
Be sure to keep that.
Okay, this at least I can
Very
skip a
valuable.
bit. The newest DRM, look it up. Why no FSR3? Because FSR3 doesn't look great in this game. Once we get to a place where we get less movement on the screen, I'm going to show you a comparison. Oops, bad time to get an explosion. Not convenient. The game has some, yeah, great assets. Beautiful assets. Wonder how ARC GPUs run this. Yeah, that would be interesting. Ah, it actually worked.
We're in the clear.
Easy mode.
Where do we go
Yeah,
now?
no, I'm playing with one hand, I told you. I'm reading chat playing with one hand. I'm multitasking over here. And I'm also thinking where my freaking saves are.
The memory stick still has the security code registered. It also has record of a message log.
Scan complete. You have to cross here. You see the light?
I can't reach the ladder. The water level is too low.
Try using the plank.
Just like The Last of Us. Use the plank. Google hates you? Well, then use ChatGPT. It'll Google it for you. It works pretty well. Okay. Progress saved. So for the 1650, I would say TAA at 80%, medium to low settings. If you want 40s, you can do it, but you can actually do 60s in some cases. I just want to very quickly quintuple check that everything's fine. Because my saves are here, but the game doesn't seem to care. Yep. Okay, I think it took my saves now. Yep. $80 to get full Goon experience. If you go to the most expensive version, definitely. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know where the game decides to keep my saves. Because they should be here, but the game is not using them. I'm confused. Yeah, it probably changed locations. Anyway, you got your Switch? Congrats. Hope you enjoy. No, not there. I'm pretty sure they moved it around. Users, saved games. Nope. Oh well, at least I tried. I'll look it up later. In the meantime, let's get back to it. How long will it take to play the game? What do you mean, how long? Oh, I need to update Windows. How long will it take to play the game? I mean, it'll take as long as how much time you need to download the game. That's how long it takes. Local app data. Yeah, I checked it, but I couldn't find it. That's weird. I also have it on my main PC, so I can octuple check there. Oh, time to beat the game. How long to beat Stellar Blade? 21 hours. Apparently it's 21 hours long. Yep, something like that. Yeah, it depends on how long you last. GG, well played. Oh, okay, I found the place where they now store the save files. It's in app data local SV. So they completely changed the path of the saves. Awesome, awesome. Now I know where to move them to. What were you doing with the game files? I was just trying to recover my saves. Okay. Because I've been playing the game a bit earlier, and well, my saves didn't carry over. Bad time. I'm streaming. No worries. My brother, say hi. The charger is hungry. He is. Look at him. You have the same charger? I love it, man. It's great. It's awesome to have a charger with personality. That's the animation it does when it's charging, but when it's not charging anything, it's just waiting. Let me unplug whatever I'm charging. So when it no longer charges, it just waits. Why don't you test 4090? Because it's being used to do this live stream, and I'm very heavily time limited. But don't worry. It's a good thing. That means that I can actually afford to make content still. Okay, 1080p, DLAA. And we're going to play on Ultra. Hell yeah. So for the people that, well, it doesn't affect most people because I got the code early, but the thing is, again, the game, for the demo, they had the saves on documents. The saves now, if you are struggling with this, they are on app data, local, SV, and here's the saves in SB. So they completely moved those around. So thanks to my rogue ally for keeping my saves safe. The stuttering. Now, so far the stuttering has been an issue if you have 4 gigs of VRAM and you crank up those textures. But otherwise, it's been pretty good. Okay. You got the older version. Is it the 65 watt one? No. Yeah, it's the 100 watt version actually. So this is the newer one, quote unquote. So I use it to charge, well, when I'm going to record the ROG Ally X, I need more power. So that's perfect. 3060, the GOAT! Yeah. 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Now there's no excuse for stuttering. Oh yeah. I mean, it makes sense. 65 watts works for most people. By the way, the black screen, it's actually loading. The loading animation is behind me. But the good thing is it compiles shaders. That shouldn't be surprising. It should be expected. But yeah, they put the Nuvo in the game. That's pretty disappointing. When I tried multiple Proton versions of this game, was it like, yeah, 3 days ago when I started playing the game on Steam Deck, I changed Proton versions 3 or 4 times and the game locked me out for 24 hours. That's annoying. Hopefully it doesn't kick me out after changing GPUs 3 times. There we go. There's my other save. Oof. So my other save basically is in the Wasteland, which is a way bigger map. And I have other upgrades. So let's put it on very high. In this case, very high is ultra. So very high. And DLSS automatic. I never understand why they put it on automatic. It doesn't really tell you. And it's DLSS 4, it's not DLSS 3. So it's going to run worse on 30 series. Okay, so the highest settings, basically everything cranked up. I'm pretty sure by lowering shadows we can make it work properly. So very high with DLAA. Okay, that's looking pretty sharp. 4K textures and environment textures, yeah, especially those textures.
I'd like to inform you that my mobility
on the highest settings, at least in this particular place, is 7.6 gigs.
Communicating in the airborne squad channel.
Yes, sir. I'll check.
But I can actually use, there's also fast travel, so...
Broadcast across several.
But I think the only thing I would need to do here, if you don't want to use DLSS quality, as an example, is to lower the shadows from very high to high. That should avoid us from dropping the resolution. The game budget went to one area of the game. Yeah. To one character. I wonder which area we're talking about. Yeah, I'm still using more than 16 GB of RAM, but maybe, again, since I have more, maybe it's using the rest. So I'm not entirely sure on that. Is the game fun? Yeah, in my opinion it is. Right now, I'm actually showing it off. That's why I'm not speaking much about the game itself. But again, when it comes to stuttering, what I was talking about before, the city. This city you get, I think, a couple hours in. This part uses quite a bit of CPU for no specific reason. I wonder what area. Don't worry, you'll find it. Here. So here's when I saw this highest CPU usage in the game and the weirdest frame times. But at the same time, I was on a Steam Deck and on a Rogue Ally trying that. So on PC, this area is not much of a problem, really. I think it's using a couple of cores at 80%. And VRAM, as you can see in the city, increased to 9.7 gigs. But again, we're on the highest settings, so it's expected. What CPU you're using? It's in the description. It's a 13th Gen i5. Let's see, let's go somewhere else. Yeah, the music is pretty damn good. I actually use the music because it's stream safe, apparently.
Sorry.
Okay. Good thing I have 2 saves. And they're actually there. Yeah, I mean, I didn't play it on PS5 because of the PC release. Let me go back to the first level. Yeah, the music is stream safe apparently because it's an original soundtrack. The thing is, I'm not just showing you the music, it's the entire package, so...
Falling debris. Be careful.
But as you can see, the game is completely fine with DLAA.
The conversation time. They're confident. Alright. Area is clear.
What about YouTube videos? It is a YouTube video technically. This will become a video after the stream ends. The music reminds you of Nier. Well, they did a collaboration with Nier, so it doesn't surprise me.
That's a security code. A type of entry permit. Try entering the code. It worked.
What happened with 3054 gigabytes of VRAM? No, I never had a 3054 gigabytes. I had an 8 gigabyte one. The thing is, it died, and repairing it was more expensive than buying another one. So I'm thinking about adding a new GPU. Maybe later. The thing is, there's no good GPU to buy right now, in my opinion. So I could base off... Well, I also have a 4060 laptop that I use for work. I could use that as a new GPU.
Like this.
And I love that. To activate the cams I use the bitcoins with a V. Yeah, Eve as 2B's king. There's probably one already. $2066 gigs, you should be fine. Just don't put those textures anything above a medium, or maybe medium characters and high on the environments, but just sacrifice some VRAM, some performance there. So as long as it's not on the high option for textures or higher, I think you can get away with high textures on the environment and medium on characters with 6 gigs.
What's wrong?
But it looks so good on the highest settings, holy hell. Especially those textures.
From here on, you have to stay alert.
Yeah, 3050 4 gigs of VRAM laptop, it will work. The thing is, you have to sacrifice the textures. Like I did on the 1650. Let's see, this is the part where I dropped again.
Hey, be careful. You see the rapids below. If you fall, it's over.
Hey, SciTech33, how's it going? Long time no see. Yeah, perfect parry, yeah. But actually, now that we are in a more chill... Never mind. Did I say chill? Yeah, I did. Let's do the comparison with FSR, native, and DLAA. And, sorry, DLSS. I think it's a good moment. I think maybe the next level, actually. Yeah, let's do the other level. One that has more light. No, the game is actually fun. In my opinion, at least. Okay. Yeah, it takes a bit to load, but after it loads, we're good. So fast travel to the wasteland. Hey Hamza, how's it going, man? The only MSRP cards we have in my region are 5070 and 5070 Ti. Everything is more expensive, often more than 20%. Here's 50% more expensive, generally. Good times. Okay. There we go. Is the Nika DLC out now too? I think so, yeah. I think it was included. Okay. Much better. Hopefully the enemies don't decide to chase after me. So... Alright. So let's do DLSS quality. Massive performance increase, obviously. And let's record maybe 8 seconds. One hand technique incoming. I'm on it. I'm perfecting my technique. Okay, that's... Now instead of DLSS 4, we're doing FSR 3, also on quality. I can already tell it looks worse. But that's okay. We have options. I wish we had XeSS. Okay, and now I'll do the same but with TAA. Quality is 60 something%, so I can lower this to... I'll put it at 70 to give it the benefit of the doubt. Because it runs better without... at the same pixel count without upscaling, it runs better. Okay. I recorded all the footage I needed. Let's see the comparisons. Here we go. This is very old text. This is not the AA. Okay, TAA. This one, DLSS. Actually, yeah, I'm missing one. This would be FSR 3 quality. Okay, let's import the footage. Hopefully I can see which one is which. I think I have a good understanding of which one. 1, 2, 3. I can probably tell just by looking at the footage. Yeah, definitely. So the one at the left is DLSS, the one at the middle... Hold up, I'm screwing up. So as I was saying, the one at the left is DLSS, the one at the middle is FSR, and the one at the right is TAA, but it's TAA with on quality, quote unquote. it will be 70%. Okay, let's see. We hit play. Hopefully my GPU doesn't die. I think you guys can notice the difference, right? Especially with TAA. And the performance difference, if we look at stuff closer there, TAA is struggling with everything, basically. Those edges, the foliage. Well, see, the foliage with TAA has shimmering, but with FSR it's like a blob. And well, DLSS 4 just kills all of them right away. Same with the drone. Some stuff with FSR 3 looks horrible, then TAA looks shimmery, and well, DLSS is like magic. Yeah, especially on the hair. And well, stuff into the distance. TAA just dies with stuff into the distance. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious thing, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because that is, if you ask me why I would want an NVIDIA GPU, it's probably DLSS. In this case it's DLSS 4, so it's a bit more intensive. But still, it looks fantastic. I mean, it makes no sense not to use it. In this case, it's the best solution out of the three, at least on this game. And by 3 I mean FSR 3, which pretty lazy implementation, and TAA, that seems to be the Unreal Engine basic way to do it. Sometimes TAA looks better than FSR, but when it comes to the 3060 on 1080p, I think there's no reason not to play with DLAA. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this game is UE4, and you can kind of tell, especially looking at this desert location, there's no global illumination, so they have to light stuff manually. I mean, you can notice that with these objects, they're not directly under sunlight, but they're lit improperly. But again, you don't need that to have a good game. It's not physically accurate, but it doesn't need to. I mean, Mind's Eye has great graphics. It's a game that released yesterday, I think. And it runs like absolute garbage, and it has a very accurate lighting, but it's a horrible game when it comes to being a game. It's not good at being a game. So yeah. Morning, Alex. How's it going? Oops. So again, in my opinion, on this card, you should play with DLAA. And just to actually show you more of a performance thing, let's also do the Prologue. Again, it's annoying that I cannot skip the cutscene in the Prologue, but if I do, I can actually show that later as well, just to make sure. But on the highest settings, it looks pretty good, runs pretty well. So yeah. Can you force FSR 4 in the driver? That's a good question, I don't know. FSR 4 I think is AMD exclusive.
As of now, Airborne Squad 7 will exterminate the Alpha Nativas occupying District 3. Their objective is the capture or dispatchment of the Elder Nativa. Pods entering atmosphere.
And well, if you watch the stream since the beginning, I started with the 1650. The textures on the ship are insanely better. Yeah, FSR 4, as far as I understand, is hardware related, as much as software. It's not open like FSR It's not hardware agnostic. Hence why it looks so much better. Don't get me wrong, it would be nice, but yeah. Maybe one day we can hijack DLSS and put FSR4, but it requires AMD hardware. So we're in the same problem as before. I think they said RDNA can't even support it. It has to be RDNA 4. Yep. Yeah, they said that.
All available drop pods will be ejected according to Protocol B32.
But looking at this is the first time I see the intro on the highest settings. GG. And by the way, this is a real-time cutscene. So if you're playing at 8K, this will be rendered at 8K as well. Oh, RDNA 3? Oh, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I lose count of those numbers. I haven't checked AMD cards in a while. I'll be excited to test like a 9060 or a 9070. But right now, in my country, they're super expensive. They're more of a niche product on Uruguay. Yeah, you heard 8K.
No!
Oh no! So outside in the wasteland, we were into the 70s. Let's see it now. This part should have more explosions and stuff happening, so we should be good. I'm talking about, very quickly, this works well on Steam Deck. I had to sacrifice some performance for texture quality, but you can stay into the 40s pretty well with some small sacrifices. Funnily enough, the Steam Deck preset is basically low settings with a couple of things on medium. So, and on SteamOS, when I launched it on Steam Deck, it was on performance FSR3, so it was like 400p. But the game can do much better. Thanks, Adil, I appreciate that.
Take my hand.
Here you can see it on max settings now. You can see the same scene on max settings. Please YouTube, don't demonetize me. There's nothing weird going on. They did better port than The Last of Us. I mean, yeah, it's Unreal Engine 4. The Last of Us is a custom engine. It makes sense. Although I've seen very terrible UE4 ports, a ton of them. And there we go, into the 70s like before.
This way to the bottom.
Okay, drops a bit lower.
You take the left. I'll take care of this
But it
side.
uses less VRAM here than in the open location. Oh, I'm trying to use my powers that I haven't unlocked yet. Okay, yeah, here it drops harder actually, and we're CPU bound in this part for some
I see
reason.
you still have your combat sensors. Great. Coordinates?
So this is a good place to do testing actually.
In front of us.
Let's see the explosion. The Last of Us 2, I think they did a good job with that one on the PC version.
That was close.
On a 3080, yeah, it should be okay. We'll
Come
see.
here.
The thing is the VRAM. How much VRAM does your 3080 have? But here we seem to be more GPU limited, so it's a good place to test. But here, in the meantime, let's do 1440p. 1080p is more than fine. No problem whatsoever. So yeah, 1440p now. I don't think we need to do native on this one, but we'll do. So 1440p, very high, so everything maxed out with DLAA that is native. So I don't expect this to hold 60s here. Yeah, we drop into the 40s. It looks so much sharper. Jesus, it's ridiculous. Wow, this makes 1080p look like garbage. Okay. Let me see if I can fix this by just lowering the shadows from very high to high. Yeah, barely. Yeah, I think in this case you're better off just using quality upscaling. And let me kick those shadows back up. But in this part there is a lot going on. Yeah, it's barely a difference visually. DLSS is getting good. What's your monitor native res? 4K.
Watch out! It's an unlisted Nativo. I'll handle this one.
So yeah, well here we're getting 60s because explosions, good amount of enemies, whatever, stuff flying around, particles. Let's go back to the open location. Here on VRAM we're at around 7 gigs. So it's probably going to go much higher once we get to that location, to the wasteland. 10? What? Oh, yeah, 10 out of 10. Buy or nah? I mean, it depends. If you enjoy this type of game, why not? Okay, now in the open location, we're starting to get more and more VRAM usage. Understandable. But yeah, I think this is completely fine at 1440p, and it's also DLSS 4. So it looks way better than DLSS usually does. Yeah, 8GB GPUs, I mean, whatever. What can you do? In this game, you can sacrifice texture quality, but if you go anything below medium textures, it's potato town. So 1440p, as you can see, is completely fine. So 4K, I wouldn't be worried about 4K, really. .4K should be easy. 3060 supports DLSS 4. It does on the upscaling, it doesn't support DLSS 4 when it comes to frame generation. But many games, well a few games allow you to use FSR for frame gen and DLSS for upscaling. In this case we're using only upscaling because it doesn't support natively on the hardware, it doesn't support frame gen using DLSS. Which again, it's in my opinion not a big loss. Especially in a game like this that requires timing for blocking and attacking. So, well, personally I wouldn't use frame gen. You can probably still use the FSR frame gen with the injectors. Nope, not that way. But the texture quality is insane. It's probably because I've been looking at low texture quality for the last few days. Anyway, so 1440p is fine. Let's do 4K. We're going to try native first, just for the memes. And instead of very high, we're going to, you know what, let's keep it on very high, whatever. Let's do it correctly. So 4K native. So 4K, here we go. Please don't crash. Okay, 4K. DLSS on DLAA, and the rest on the absolute highest. Yeah, of course, at 4K. Actually, I was expecting it's borderline 30 here. And the VRAM is at 10 gigs, and it looks insanely sharp, as expected. So, let's try... Performance is what I use at 4K. And there we go. With performance upscaling, internally 1080p, but looks way sharper than 1080p. You're into the 50s on very high, but you can fix this by lowering the settings a bit, because I haven't lowered the settings yet. What I'm going to keep on the highest is those textures. There we go. Let's see, high. Okay, high is a small improvement. Maybe medium, with the textures increased. Oh, there's a 4K option for textures. Okay, I missed that one. Oops. The preset doesn't cover 4K textures. Okay. Alright, kinda. 4K DLSS performance, medium plus ultra textures. And well, there you go. Personally, on this card, I wouldn't play it at 4K, but you can do it if you want to. It looks incredibly sharp. And when it comes to RAM, I wouldn't worry about RAM usage on this one. They state 16 gigs as the minimum and as recommended, but since I have 32, sometimes Windows allocates more memory than it needs, so I'll leave it at that personally. I wouldn't worry. But when it comes to upscaling, I really like DLSS 4. Frame gen, meh. But when it comes to upscaling, they did a great job. Yeah, 4K plus 6 FPS, good combo. Hell yeah. Although at 4K we're getting stutters, I think the highest texture option at 4K is way over 10 gigabytes of VRAM. So if you have 12 gigs of VRAM, maybe high textures at 4K makes more sense. Yeah, there we go. Wow, the 4K textures are insanely big. So textures on high if you're playing at 4K on this card. At 4K, yeah. That's why I was getting inconsistency there. Also, I have a guns. Pretty random fact, I have guns.
To all, I am in need of help. Anyone receiving this message, please respond.
Your monitor is 1440p. I never heard of them, but it's a really good monitor. Awesome. DLSS 4, huge boost for all RTX cards. Yeah, also the performance actually is worse when it comes to raw FPS because it has more processing going for it. But the visual fidelity increase is night and day. We could probably force DLSS 3 if we wanted to. Personally, I don't think we need to do that because the visual fidelity just makes a huge difference. I should go this way actually. Yeah, frame gen under 60 makes no sense in my opinion. You can get away with it at 45, something like that as a base, but still, not ideal. Oops, it's a trap. So yeah, the shooting pose is so on purpose. I mean, yeah, look at this. I'm just moving around. I wonder why they use this pose. Completely not on purpose. I don't see anything weird. I go shooting all the time and that's my pose. It was for the lore. Yeah, lore purposes. Oops, out of ammo. Yeah, one-handed like everybody else. My man. Hold up, I'm completely lost in the map. Okay, I can take the other side. But as you can see, 4K completely fine, 1440p completely fine, 1080p not a problem. Personally, I would do in this case 1440p with quality DLSS, everything on the highest settings, and you'll be good. At least on the 3060 12 gigs. If you're going with something with less VRAM, consider lowering those textures. There's also 4K textures as an option, but this uses a lot of VRAM, especially at 4K. So let's swap to the next card. To do so, I'll prepare my VRAM. We have only 8 gigs on the 4060. So here we go. Okay, very high DLAA. Okay. Exit game. Is your 3060 undervolted? No, it's on an open test bench. That's why the good temperature. And it's also winter, almost winter. So, well, yeah, it's what happens. Let's swap to this camera angle. And we turn it off. 8K, oops, too late. Yeah, the game has the Nubo, unfortunately. Okay, 4060. Wish me luck. EVGA. Yeah, I miss EVGA, man. Ah, so much quality. We're getting closer. But here what bothers me is the gigabytes of VRAM. There was a meme that we were talking about, like, oh, imagine the 5060 is probably going to be 8 gigs. And I was like, please guys, don't say that. And then a year later, Nvidia comes with the 5060. Hey guys, 8 gigabytes. So yeah. I mean, the more I play new games, the more I hate Nvidia for putting 8 gigabytes on these cards. Alright, so on this one we're going to do 1080p, very high. DLSS, DLAA, native, very high. Simple enough. What else? Oh, the game, of course. Use Lenovo sadly because it works. Most Lenovo games don't get cracked until a long time after release. That's true. Yeah, but it limits the amount of devices as well. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. The thing is, it uses CPU cycles. The problem for me is when it limits your access to the actual game that you bought. In this case, I cannot complain because I got the game from PlayStation. But I got locked out of the game a couple times because I swapped between devices pretty often. I played on the ROG Ally, then on the Steam Deck, then on PC. So it locked me out of the Steam Deck a couple times because of trying Proton versions. Even 12 gigabytes would not be enough for the 5060. No, I think 12 gigabytes would be okay. 12 gigabytes, I'd say, okay, for a 60 series card, makes sense. The 3060 did it already. But 8 gigabytes is just an insult. It's like, what the hell, man? And they're like, but they're going to buy it anyway. So here we are. Death Stranding 2 when it comes out. When it comes out on PC, sure. I think it's only on PS5 the first year or the first 6 months. Um, 8 GB 5060 is the same kind of misunderstanding as 12 GB 5070 and 16 GB 5080. Oof. My guy's spitting facts. Okay, 1080p. By default it puts it on high. Very high. Why not? This usually breaks stuff. Okay, very high. Textures not 4K because, you know, 8 GB of VRAM. But according to the VRAM meter behind me, it's above the VRAM limit. Let's see what happens. We're going to start with the beginning of the game that has a lot of explosions. Okay, here everything's fine because VRAM is under control. So here it's not surprising that it's not using a lot of VRAM.
Come here. Be careful of your jump.
So yeah, this part is not a problem. It's GPU heavy, but on the VRAM side, it's not much of an issue.
Watch out! It's an unlisted Nativo. I'll handle this one.
So yeah. We're good. 50, 60, 12 gigs is good for 1080p. 50, 70, 12 gigs for 1440p, alright? It still feels too low for a 70 series card to have 12 gigs. A 70 series card, in my opinion, nowadays should be at least 16 gigs. Okay. So this part, as you can see, is fine. But let's get into more VRAM heavy moments. But it depends. On the 5070, I'll do 1440p personally. But I'll use upscaling and keep those textures under control, which is my main issue with VRAM. Nowadays I don't have to worry about VRAM because I have a lot of VRAM on my main computer. But again, here, a more open environment. Already I spiked to 7.5 gigs. And I didn't start running yet. So already here we're hitting the limit. We're borderline 8 gigabytes already. This is two hours into the game, or a little bit more. So it'll take some time until you get to this point, but still, imagine you're playing the game just fine, then you get to an open location and there, it dies. Well, that's the issue. And this is an Unreal Engine 4 game, we're not talking about a UE5 game here. But again, like you guys are saying, the 5060 is really a 5050, a 5060, a 5070 is actually a 5060, and so on. No longer surprised. I'm not surprised, just disappointed. Okay, all the way to the right. If you don't have a clean PC and have stuff open in the background, you can use more VRAM. Yeah, well, if you have a YouTube video running as well, yeah, I agree. You're not only doing the game, but I mean, I think it's pretty easy to just close those down. The thing is, the normal user shouldn't notice. That's the plan. As long as the main user doesn't notice, they won't do anything about it. Oops. What's the best GPU now? Price efficiency? What do you mean efficiency? Are we talking about power or amount of frames for the price? Jesus. Oh, really? Okay. That's what you had with 8 gigabytes? Ah, but you multitask a lot. I mean, I think there's no problem closing things down. The thing that bothers me is that you need to keep into account the texture quality here. It didn't used to be a problem. So yeah, right now, this is what I can actually say. Because I tried it. In this game I was able to try it because I was on the handheld place playing this. LIX, Steam Deck. The Steam Deck only has 16 gigabytes of RAM and it shares that for system RAM and VRAM. And this game required quite a bit of texture sacrifice, to say it in some way. Then when it comes to the LIX, has 24 gigabytes. 16 for system RAM, and I allocated 8 gigabytes for the GPU, and I could play on the highest textures on this one just fine. But once I got to this point is when the VRAM started to suffer. Frames for the price? Okay, probably the 5080 I think. The thing is it at MSRP? Then if we're talking about AMD cards, well, I don't know much about AMD cards. But I think the 5080. The 9070 looks pretty cool. I wish it was affordable in this part of the world. What the hell is that? Back in the day, not many games and gamers were aiming for 4K. I think most people are not aiming for 4K unless you're playing on a big TV or something. In my case, I have a 4K monitor, but I'm more of an enthusiast. And I do a lot of video editing. I don't know. I think it's pretty niche to play at 4K on PC unless you have a big TV. I think the most common resolution is going to be 1440p. Many budget monitors are 1440p now, which kind of surprised me. Yeah, no, the 9070 in South America is super expensive. But I think 1440p is the best of both worlds, by far. I mean, you got a very decent pixel count, considering, I mean, it's 33% more pixels on 1080p, something like that. But it looks so much sharper, it's ridiculous. And it's not like an excessive amount of pixels like at 4K. So for a monitor, I think 1440p is the best of both worlds. And when it comes to performance, it's way easier to render in comparison to 4K. But talking about going back to this subject, 1080p, you can go to the very high preset, just don't go for the 4K textures. That's a separate option that is not in the preset. You can put this at 4K and you use 2 GB of VRAM extra. So let's see what happens with 4K textures. Okay, we got a stutter. A stutter here or there, and my RAM usage is going higher and higher. Let's run a little bit more so we load more textures. Yeah, the frame time inconsistency is noticeable. And we got 2 more gigabytes of RAM usage. So it's still fine at 1080p. I would still not use textures of this quality, considering the impact it has on the smoothness of the game. So the more and more you feel that VRAM, well, it gets worse and worse. In this case, we're fine because we can tweak those textures, it's not a problem. This is more of a higher texture pack quality thing, it's fine. But the problem is when this stops being an option. There's a point that textures can look horrible. So I think very high is fine at 1080p. At 1440p though, I'm aiming more towards the high texture quality. Let's do 1440p. In the intro and first area, the VRAM usage is insane. No, actually I got the complete opposite effect. At the beginning of the game, I get pretty decent VRAM usage, but as soon as I get to this big open location, that's when it starts crying. So now we're at 1440p, very high with high textures. Okay, so as you can see at native, we're into the 60s, so a little bit higher than the 3060, which makes complete sense. But at the beginning of the game, since it's a smaller map, it makes sense that it uses less memory. Like here I had to sacrifice textures a little bit. Put the 1% slow count, 0.1% slow. I mean I could, but since I pause the game a lot and all that, enabling it can be detrimental. Because the 0.1% lows will always be like 1 FPS, because I pause the game in the middle. But I'll find a way to do it later. I need to set that up properly. I should also probably restart the game to smooth it out a little, because I went over the VRAM limit. That's pretty unpredictable behavior. But still. Yeah, Nvidia doesn't care. Nvidia just wants more money, like most companies out there. In this area, or all areas, this area in particular, since it's a bigger map, but that's about it. But then there is a city also that you're mostly just running around, and it can vary. The thing is, this is part of the game. Am I in the correct place? Okay, I need to get all the way here. I think this was the crossing point actually. I'm doing fine, Gustavius. What about you, man? Yeah, and the RAM usage, yeah, let me restart the game. I went over the VRAM limit, that can break it sometimes. But my thoughts on that is that if you're at 1440p with this card on this game, high textures is a sacrifice that needs to be made. In this case, it's not a big deal, but in the future, it could be. It really depends. I'm disappointed though that the 5060 is 8 gigs. Your laptop 4050 6 gigs plays Stellar Blade just fine. That's how it should be. The thing is, when you're going for a desktop GPU and you're paying for a 60 series card that the previous generation had more VRAM with. That's what I'm complaining about. Let's get outside. This part usually more GPU heavy but less VRAM heavy, as you can see. Ryzen seem to use it to make their GPUs. I mean, If they're experts on CPUs, doesn't mean that they can do good GPUs. But anyway, this part at the beginning of the game, this is the very beginning. Here is more GPU heavy, but less VRAM heavy. And then the other part runs better on the GPU generally, but uses more VRAM because bigger
Watch out!
maps.
There's an unlisted Nativo. I'll handle this one.
So if you want to keep it at 60 across the board, I'll just use quality DLSS, as much as I don't like saying that, with the highest settings, and you're basically into the 80s. Since this is DLSS 4, there's no problem. It looks significantly better than what we're used to. So this is
Great. Let's go.
DLSS quality. And with that, I can tell you, okay, you're at 1440p, basically 60 frames, no problem. Because lowering the settings is also an option, but it doesn't make a huge performance difference, generally speaking. Is ultra quality better than native? No, ultra quality I think is... Well, wait, there's ultra quality? Since when? Hold up. No, there's no ultra quality. Sometimes there is ultra quality, but quality is basically 66% native, and ultra quality will be like 78%, I think it is. And now, once you get outside this part that is less demanding but uses more VRAM, you get the performance difference there. Instead of the 80s and 90s, you get the 100s. Which is completely understandable in this case. There we go. This is the crossing point. I mean, the game uses a lot of memory, but you can get away with it as long as you have at least 6 gigabytes. It can still look good. The problem is when you are below 6 gigs. When you're below 6 gigs, it starts being potato town. Yeah, 16 gigabytes of RAM is enough. System RAM, you're fine on this one. VRAM is the big thing. Okay, need to take the left. Wish me luck. You're taking into account GeForce Now as an option? Well, yeah, GeForce Now is also an option. The thing is, you need to be connected to the internet with a good connection and close to the server, but otherwise, if that's an option, go for it. I wish that was an option in my country without a lot of latency. Personally though, I like having the real hardware with me because it's the lowest possible latency. And I have full control over my hardware, but most people probably don't care about that. When you play demo, you get some freezes for about 10-20 seconds. Probably VRAM. What was your PC? I missed it. Oh, 16 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, I need to know how much VRAM you have, actually. In combat. Who? I mean, Uruguay, South America. I tried it and there was a lot of latency, but I'm very far away. Okay. I should be close. 68 gigs. Oh, okay. Okay. So those stutters, I'm pretty sure, since you have only 8 gigabytes of VRAM, I'll probably just lower the textures to high instead of very high, like on that preset. And that should fix it right away. At 1440p becomes a problem. Can I just jump down here? No, cards on. That would have been too easy. Okay. But again, it's not like the textures in this game are the best out there. I've seen better. Especially when it comes to the assets that are a little bit outside of the way. You can see the simple polygonal shapes. And well, that texture quality, this is high. So yeah, it becomes potato. So if this is high textures, imagine the potato low textures that I had to use on the 4GB card. Violated. If this game has Steam Deck OLED thumbs up. You know what, guys? I've been having a lot of, how to say it? A lot of work. I'm super tired, and that's okay. That's why I haven't been doing lots of Steam Deck content. So I think I'm going to put the Steam Deck at the end of this live stream, so I can show you what I'm talking about. But I would say it's worthy, is Steam Deck worthy so far. I want to do a video talking about the default settings, my recommended settings, and the quality mode, that will be 30 FPS. But I think I can give you a quick overview in this live stream once I finish with this card. But I would say, yeah, it's on the Steam Deck. I think it's completely fine. You need to just manage your expectations. That means 60 FPS. Let's just not talk about that. It's not 60. I would buy a Steam Deck that can do PS5 graphics and gameplay. Yeah, the thing is, it requires some sacrifices, especially when talking about texture quality and shadow quality. But other than that, I can play at 40 pretty damn well. That's how I got to this part of the game, actually. I played everything on Steam Deck and on the LIX. Do you have a video tutorial for upgrading the SSD in a Steam Deck? I don't. I think the iFixit guide actually explains it perfectly fine. That's why I didn't make a video, but it's pretty simple. On the OLED, it requires a bit more effort than on the LCD, though, in my experience. Yeah, I mean, the PS5 is not a portable device. But this game is not on PS4, so technically a PS5 game. Steam Deck on this game already? No, actually I was going to, but I didn't have time. I was going to do the demo. Then Sony reached out and said, hey, you want to play Stellar Blade? And I was like, yeah, sure. And they actually gave me access to the full game a few days before release. And I had to sign an NDA that said, hey, you cannot speak about this game until June 11th, at the time that the game releases. So I was radio silent because of the NDA. So yeah. Sony might do PS6 portable option. They're probably going to go the Switch route, which is a hybrid console, and I'll be super okay with that. Hell yeah. As long as we have decent power. The thing is, I think nowadays, if I got a PS6 out of nowhere, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Higher resolution, yeah sure, higher frame rate, yeah sure, but then game visuals are hitting a plateau. Sure, more realistic ray tracing, whatever, but it's still, I don't feel like it's a big step. I feel they're not taking full advantage of PS5 yet. GTA 6 though looks like a big jump. What are the games? Exactly, that's my problem with the current gen consoles. I mean, yeah, there's still PS4s out there, lots of them, Xbox One. Nothing wrong with that, that's completely fine. But I don't feel like you need to buy a PS5. I think if you buy a PS4 Pro or a PS4, you'll be completely fine. We need more games. It's funny because the PS4 is still out there, but the PS5 came out in 2020, 5 years ago. Doggy. Cute. Switch 2 is more expensive than PS5 here. Same here, but that's because it's a new thing. Okay.
Typical Volt. Always getting into trouble. Now what?
I cannot pause the game here, so
And who might
you can use both hands now.
A pleasure, mademoiselle. My name is Scarlet.
PS6 will make games go full RT, and the gigabytes will be obsolete. Good point.
Eve? How odd. That name feels so familiar. But enough of that. It's a rare thing indeed to meet a fellow sword fighter in this day and age.
Yeah, I think PS6 right now will be a waste.
Curious how
I'm
I
actually
could
looking
tell?
forward to the Steam Deck
It's
too,
that thing in your hair.
because yeah, I mean, it's
You
not
get
great,
full
the Steam Deck
name.
1 at
That's a
UE5,
sword.
but imagine the
I've
Steam
never
Deck 2.
seen a sword double as a hairpin.
And the Steam Deck is already
That's quite
5
unique.
years old, I think. And I play more on my
Actually,
Steam Deck than
Might I
on
ask
any other
something of
thing.
you? A favor. It's trivial.
In a few days this game will be 100%
From
with
one
mods.
sword fighter
I
to
mean, the
another.
demo already had mods, so yeah.
Phew. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, for SSDs and
Right,
60
I
frames,
offer
I
you something
agree,
in
although
return.
many games don't hit
Volt should
60s.
have a number of items he
Well,
can
we're
help
talking
with.
about UE5, of
See that he
course.
passes them on to you as a
So
little
just
sign
the
of
SSD alone,
appreciation.
I think it's a huge upgrade. Definitely. Thank you for watching, Recalled 2000.
Interesting. This is
Yeah, I mean, the Steam Deck is expensive, but it's a nice platform.
Mademoiselle.
That's why I'm happy that they
think
got
you should
Steam
take
OS to basically
Who
everything.
knows? It may come in handy.
Yeah,
someday.
PS5 Pro is already expensive. If those
Now,
consoles are expensive,
allow me
imagine
to
a
explain
PS6,
what's
how
happened.
expensive it would be. Okay. I got a gun. Oh, I forgot. 4K. There's a market for gooning on the go. Hell yeah. Gooning everywhere. Okay, so at 4K, I'm going to put it on performance, like on the 3060. And when it comes to the settings, we're going to go for medium. Let me see if I can increase anything else. I think medium is fine. Hopefully I don't have to lower the textures lower than this. This should match what the 3060 was doing. Let's see if that's a thing. 4K DLSS performance. Whoa. Plus medium settings. Do you think that 12 GB of VRAM is enough for 1440p for at least 3 years? 3 years is a long time for technology. So I don't know if 3 years, but it should last for a good time. Okay. So as you can see on medium, we got worse shadows, worse textures. Yeah, especially the characters, I can notice worse textures. But it's quite a bit ahead of the 3060 when it comes to raw numbers. Mainly because of the DLSS4. I'm pretty sure that closes the gap between these two cards. If current gen consoles have 2 GB of VRAM for developers, next gen will have at least 20. Yeah, maybe. I'm more concerned about having content. Again, the PS5 is 5 years old. I'm not grabbing that. Yeah, I mean, already on medium textures, I think you can notice this is potato. But I don't think increasing textures much would make a big difference. Let me see. Let me see if those UE4 environments... Okay. So going above medium on the environments increases the potato textures quite a bit actually. Let's see if I put it at 4K textures. Nope. Well, now I don't have a place to store those textures actually. So yeah, in this case, I wouldn't go above medium textures, just because 4K, 8 GB of VRAM, so you got something like this. Oof. So it depends on which resolution you're playing on. At 4K, there's a big VRAM hit. I'll try environment on high, just to put this texture on a better quality. Medium settings, and VRAM, environment, textures, high. I remember the textures in this spot being terrible on PS5. Well, there you go. I wonder if the PS5 Pro can do better on those. Lots of people talking about ray tracing, resolution, what else? Shadow quality, but nobody talks about texture quality. At least on the media. You guys speak about everything. That's why you like the content. Nvidia moment. Yeah. Oh, the Doom enemy. Oof. Bad moment to just run away, right? Anyway. Just to finish 4K, let's go back to the very beginning, where the explosions are. Even Sony's games are one PC now. Yeah. It's hilarious, but I like it. More people can play the games. I actually waited for this game to come to PC, because since it's not a Sony title, quote unquote, I was like, okay, it's probably coming to PC, and then we got Ghost of Tsushima.
Come here. Careful if you'll jump.
We got Death Stranding, God of War, and I was like, okay, this one is definitely coming to PC. Yeah, I can already, on medium, I can already notice that the monsters have lower texture quality. Right away. I think I can actually get away with that as well. Characters on high. Remember wanting a PS5 for Spider-Man 2? What a massive that would have been. Same. Personally, I did have a PS5 when Spider-Man 2 came out. I was expecting it on PC, but not that soon. It surprised me how quickly we got Spider-Man 2 on PC.
Watch out! There's more!
I should play that one again actually, Spider-Man 2 on stream. It had a lot of updates, and they actually increased performance when symbiotes are on screen. They put that in a patch note, which is exactly what I was complaining about. Games get too expensive? Yeah, games are super expensive. Thanks Nintendo. Thanks Xbox. Thanks Sony.
Thank you.
At least on PC we get discounts way quicker.
There's more of them.
You're surprised that this game didn't come on PS4 and Xbox One? I'm pretty sure this initially was a PS4 game. I'm pretty sure. But then they probably said, okay, let's do it for PS5, and we can crank up everything else. And in a way I'm glad they did, because they can put more particles, more shadow quality. If it has poor textures on PS5 in some spots, I wouldn't imagine what they will be on PS4.
You secured. Rendezvous point in sight.
Nintendo normalized it, so everyone gonna follow. They can be like, well, Nintendo did it first. Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, 4K is surprisingly good. At least on this card. But before I continue, I'll give you my thoughts. At least on the PC version. Okay. So on the PC version, when it comes to settings, I like that there's actual full screen. It's not like fake full screen that uses borderless. Target frame rate works well. Aspect ratio, you can do 21:9 and 32:9. That's good to have. HDR as well, if you have an HDR monitor. But this game works on ultra wide pretty well. There's a good amount of options there. You can turn off motion blurs, camera shake, film grain, chromatic aberration, thank God. Then when it comes to upscalers, I'm disappointed that there's no XeSS. Only DLSS 4, FSR3, or the in-game TAA, that is the second worst upscaler, I would say. They allow you to touch the sharpness, the upscaling amount. This wasn't working for TAA a few days ago. Now it's working, so good. There's also frame gen that personally I wouldn't use, but you have it if you want to for 40 series and above. FSR3, I didn't really like it. I think it looks too pixelated. You lose a lot of detail. And then when it comes to the settings, what destroyed performance for me the most was basically shadows, volumetric fog, and a bit of the screen space reflections and clutter density. Then the rest wasn't super difficult. What was hard was the texture quality. The texture quality was insanely VRAM intensive. So I would say for textures, especially when it comes to environments, at least 8 GB of VRAM for high. If you have 6 gigs, medium, and if you have 4 gigs, go for low. But low is potato quality textures. It's kinda crazy. I cannot believe for 4 gigs, low textures look so bad. It's insanely low resolution textures. I mean, let me show you low textures very quickly. But what I'm trying to say is, I think it's a pretty good PC port, at least for UE4 standards. I just wish it had XeSS, but it has a very decent amount of options. And when it comes to VRAM usage, just keep that in check, otherwise the game will stutter a lot. So let me show you those textures that I was talking about. Let me check if they loaded.
Hey, don't go too far.
Let's just die. Interesting, I thought I was going to die here. Okay.
You secured. Rendezvous point in sight.
Okay, there we go. So this is low textures. It doesn't only apply to objects around you, it also applies to characters. But I think low textures, yeah. This also applies again to the characters. At least the clothes. So yeah, I would try to make sure I have at least 6 GB of VRAM. If you go anything above medium on 6 GB, it'll have more stutter and performance will be affected as well. So keep that in mind. It's funny that you say that those textures look like Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 is technically, well, it's Unreal Engine 3. Technically an iteration of this. Also, I just noticed. Look at the texture quality on low for stuff into the distance. It's definitely not a texture, it's a 3D model in the distance, right? The fake tower into the distance on low textures is hilarious. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm going to very quickly show you how this looks like on Steam Deck, actually, just for the memes. But on PC, I'm pretty satisfied. Just make sure to have enough VRAM, otherwise you're going to have a bad time. Let's shut this down. Hold up, I'll plug in the Steam Deck. Just to show you at the end, because I tried everything and I'll be pretty busy. So I'd rather show you Steam Deck right now. Give me a moment. They took optimization a bit too seriously. It's UE4, it's not like they had to do that much of a huge effort, in my opinion. I mean, it still requires effort, but you have a lot more leeway than if you had ray tracing, for example, or something like that. Okay, it's loading. Give it a moment. Whoa. Okay. I need to readjust this. Oh no, it's actually correct. Never mind. Oh yeah, it's 16 by 10. I keep forgetting that the Steam Deck is 16 by 10. Anyway, so very quickly, just I'll do a separate video on this, but so on Steam Deck it's verified, but we've seen verified stuff before that shouldn't be verified. This one is an exception. It actually runs pretty well. Arkham Origins runs like a dream. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty old game at this point, but yeah. I mean, the Steam Deck is surprisingly decent, unless you're doing UE5. Okay, it's loading. And I put all the stats on screen. Okay, so the settings I'm using on Steam Deck are pretty simple actually. It's a collection of what I've been doing today on the stream. First of all, windowed mode, yeah, for real. 1152 by 720, so now you have control over the sharpness from this menu. Then, well, the target frame rate, you cannot do 40, there's 45, which is kind of a shame, but still. Then, the graphics preset, there's a Steam Deck preset that I'm not seeing here because I turned that stuff off. But basically the settings that I've been using were focused around upscaling, FSR 3 disabled, and render scale at around 90%. And as you can see, everything on low, but I changed something on the launch commands for Steam Deck. The launch command is actually Steam Deck equals 0. This means you're telling the game this is not a Steam Deck. Otherwise, the game is locked on low textures. So here textures for the environments and the characters, we can actually put those on high. We have enough dynamic VRAM to call it in some way. So it doesn't look like a potato, like I was talking about right now. And the rest basically on low, including screen space reflections. So you get screen space reflections, decent enough shadows, because by default it's on very low. And you're not using performance upscaling, because by default it's on performance FSR 3. And that basically should give you around 40s. That's basically it. That's what I've been doing. In this case, I locked it to 45 because, you know, it's it's available. And while this is not perfect, it works pretty well. Give me one sec. Steam Deck 1152 by 720. Low settings plus 90%, 80%. 80% DLAA, high textures. That's basically it. Again, I'm targeting 40s, not 45.
That was close. Come here.
So yeah, it's pretty decent on Steam Deck. Just make sure to lock it to 40, not 45. You can drop in cutscenes, but this has a very good visual fidelity and texture quality as well.
Watch out! It's an unlisted Nativo. I'll handle this one.
So as you can see there, we're basically borderline 40s here, but that's what I was trying to do. And you don't have the potato textures. Also, I should plug it in. I forgot to plug it in. I'm plugged to a monitor without any extra power. Hold up. Oh, this was at 90. Sorry, 80. There we go. But yeah, it looks great. Just my advice is to not use FSR3. FSR3 looks horrible on the smaller screen. The hair doesn't survive a lot with DLAA either, but I think the image clarity is significantly better with FSR3, with DLAA than FSR3.
There's more of them.
Brazil, Uruguay. So this is just a quick Steam Deck showing, because I know a lot of you guys like watching my Steam Deck content as well, but I'm very limited on time. I was actually going to make a video on this today. Oof, that burp, holy hell, sorry about that. But work has been crazy. We're almost shipping a VR thing that I cannot talk about because NDA.
Rendezvous point in sight.
So yeah, I wanted to at least show you what it was like.
Watch out for Gardner's interception.
PC terms. Oh, battery life. Battery life is around, this is the OLED. We should be around 2.5 hours. The thing is, now I'm plugged into the monitor without any power. Yeah, that's why it's using 26 watts, because I'm plugged into the monitor as well.
That was close. This isn't looking good. Let's go.
But again, I think this is the best balance, because by default the game is on much lower settings, with much lower resolution, and at the same time, it doesn't maintain 60s across the board, so it doesn't make sense. And well, the texture quality is pretty, how to say it, pretty garbage on the default settings. There we go. It's a full game more demanding than the demo. When it comes to the open locations, yeah, those are a bit more demanding, especially on the video memory side of things. But let me actually have an idea.
Only 2 left.
Yeah. I mean, the starting area runs the same. The thing is, when you get outside of that,
Eve, pull yourself
but again, it
together.
drops when there's that field and stuff like that in a cutscene.
Taki,
Other than that,
listen to me.
40s.
We haven't completed our mission. Now it's just up to us to see this mission through. Understand?
DLSS 4 with preset K makes balanced image quality at 1440p. Yeah, I mean, if you're using an RTX card, DLSS balance at 1440p, especially DLSS 4, looks fantastic. But anyway, on the Steam Deck it runs pretty damn well. You just need to do some manual tweaks to get it looking the best it can. So I'll show you outside, that's what matters. Okay. So outside uses more video memory, so there's more chances for crashing, but so far it's been pretty stable. Just again, make sure to lock it to 40. Gabe Newell was waiting for this. Hell yeah. Okay. So outside, again, more video memory is being utilized. And more asset streaming is happening. That's why the stuttering. But at the same time, locking it to 40 makes it way smoother than this. This is with the in-game 45 FPS lock. At least when you play on Steam Deck, people will trust you said you play for the story. No, man, no! It's actually a fun game, in my opinion. Hang on, let me put the story on Steam Deck very quickly. There we go. I play for the story. Jesus Christ, what am I doing with my life? You interested in checking out the new Lost Scaling 3.2 update? When there's SteamOS compatibility, I'll be right in. I hope you guys like the story. You're not a coward. Don't talk about yourself like that. If you say that one more time, I'll kick your ass. Okay. Gotcha. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, the backflip was very risky. Definitely. But again, lock it to 40 and you'll be fine. Not much more to say really. So, when it comes to Steam Deck, again, 1152 by 720, low settings, 80% TAA or 90, high textures, and lock it to 40, even if it's the OLED Steam Deck. And it should be good. 60s, even with the default settings, not possible. It drops pretty hard. Yeah, the Steam Deck runs the same plugged in and unplugged, so this is what it will look like on the smaller screen. Actually, I could point a camera to the smaller screen. Hold up. I think I can connect my phone to my capture card now. I think. Yeah, actually, this makes more sense. I'll move my webcam. The webcam should give you a good view of what's going on. I'll be there in a second. Oh, this is my webcam, my bad. Video capture device. Aha, I found it. Let me turn off this camera. Oh, the camera is here. My bad. There we go. All right. Let me manually. This is pretty jank, but it works. I need to adjust the camera settings so you can focus on the story, guys. Exposure. Yeah, sometimes the screen brightness is difficult to capture. Okay, 140. And the autofocus can freak off. There we go. So in the post menu, I'm at 25. This is the OLED. And well, as you can see, when you lock it to 40 using the Steam Deck's FPS cap, it's completely fine. Not sure if you guys can notice. Sorry about the image quality. I'm pointing a webcam at a screen. That should be better. But as you can see, the frame times are way better when you lock it with the Steam Deck's thing. So this is OLED. So yeah, it looks pretty damn good. This is how I played the game up to this point. So I'm like 4 hours in playing like this. Oh, the audio. Sorry. The audio. Jesus Christ. Not the audio. Oh well, the audio can wait. And I hope I didn't show anything there. So yeah. It looks pretty damn good. And just to finish up the video. Sorry about the audio, I wasn't ready actually to do this sort of thing. But this, I think this is the best way to play it on Steam Deck. Just targeting 40s and you're good. Oh, Lollipop Chainsaw, I have it. Don't worry. Way ahead of you. I have Lollipop Chainsaw, and I also have, what was the name of this? The Killing Antidote is another one. But as you can see, with these settings, locked to 40, it's like 2.5, 3 hours of battery. Yeah, I'm a man of culture as well. How did you know? You can use Linux in your desktop too. Yeah, good point. Personally, I don't, because I have everything in my workflow around Windows. But it's a good idea if you have the good enough drivers. If you have an NVIDIA card, usually Linux isn't great. The drivers for Linux and NVIDIA, those suck. But again, in comparison to what I was showing you with the capture card, on the smaller screen, it really holds up really damn well. Just lock it to 40s and enjoy your time. You dual boot? Yeah, that's also an option. But again, I'll highly recommend it on Steam Deck. And if you have the ROG Ally, even better. Because you have VRR on that one, you can actually get into the mid-40s with higher settings and higher resolution. But I've been basically mostly playing it on Steam Deck and on the LIX. On the LIX I played it less, but on Steam Deck I got most of the stuff going. You have 4090, use NVIDIA DKMS drivers. You compiled yourself. Dude, what a giga chat. Jesus. That sounds complicated, but maybe it's not. I never thought about compiling a driver myself. That's a little bit too much for me, I think. But that's awesome. I love how people can do that without working at NVIDIA. It blows my mind. Yeah, the hair strands hold up a lot better on the smaller screen, definitely. Yeah, that's the thing. When I'm showing you the capture card, it's the raw image. And here, that's how it looks like in real life. That's why it's so difficult to show you what something looks like. The thing about the Steam Deck here is that it's pretty stable, so there's no problem. You just need to do some manual tweaks. That's what sucks about it. So anyway, it's very easy. Just click with Arch Linux, copy paste from wiki. Gotcha. Thanks for the heads up. Is this a Steam Deck preset? No, unfortunately, the Steam Deck preset is pretty disappointing, in my opinion. The Steam Deck preset is the lowest settings with performance FSR 3. This is basically a mix of medium, low, and textures on high. And I had to enable the command of Steam Deck equals 0. Otherwise, the game didn't allow me to use high textures instead of low. Because low textures is Potato Town, let's be honest. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be doing a dedicated video for the Steam Deck, definitely. This is what I will call the balance preset because it's 40s. But there's also the default settings and a quality mode that I will call that is 30 FPS. So yeah, look forward to that. Also, I'll be doing Dune Awakening. So if you're looking forward to that one, I'll be doing a PC video as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for gooning with me in real time. I hope we can do this more often. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys, and thanks again to PlayStation for providing a code of the game. See you next time. Love you all.